All right. So today is our last day of Unit 8, Week 3. So we only have 2 more units left for our curriculum, and we've made it through everything. So we're doing pretty good with that. Today, before we take our unit assessment, we have just a couple more things to go over and review, so I just want to go over those quickly. So, our review today, our objectives for the day, I will be able to identify and annotate the author's opinion, and then choosing a title for my informative essay, and then we will do our unit assessment. So before we start opening our book, I just want to review some of what we have talked about. So take 10 seconds to think of one thing that you have learned about the wind and water, or changes that that wind and water has on the earth. And then I want you to take another 30 seconds to turn and talk to a partner by you about that one thing that you learned, and then we'll share out. Go. Okay. You can talk to her. Bria, you can get us down. You can talk to her. One thing that you learned about wind and water and how it affects the earth. Talk to him. Talk to him. And we'll see where we're Take about 10 more seconds to finish up your thought. About 5 more seconds. All right, back to your seat in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I love how I saw y'all opening up your books and going back in to double check your work. You always can find your answers in the text. That's excellent. Somebody raise your hand. I already see your hand. What's one thing that you've learned about the wind and water this unit?
I know that it says when water moves over rock, it slowly wears away the rock. We call that erosion.
Excellent. So we learned about erosions. Orion, what's something your group discussed?
Sometimes water can change the land in a shape short. And
Amount
of time.
Good. So that's going off of what Ananda said, is that with erosion, that's something that happens and it takes a long time, but there are things that happen that change the earth in a short amount of time. What were some of those things that we talk about that can change the earth in a very short amount of time? Mackenzie.
When like in the desert, you see wind, it would just blow like the sand, and the sun would still provide on the like when it's hot, it gets like foggy. Well, not foggy, but it provides this. The sand can move when the wind comes in.
So the sand can move. So sand dunes, it can blow the wind in a short amount of time. What are some other things that we talked about can change the earth in a very short amount of time? I heard it, another one over here somewhere. Is that you?
I heard that
Floodwaters, excellent.
can make a lot of cars stop, and there's a lot of traffic.
So floods are something that can change the earth in a short amount of time. Let's take one more. Sophie.
And water can also change colors, and
Respect your classmate.
it could change rock.
So it changes walk. But does that take a long amount of time or a short amount of time?
A short amount of time.
A long amount of time. Erosion takes a long amount of time. What's something else like floods that takes a short amount of time to change the earth? Tequila. Tornadoes. That's something else that changes the earth in a short amount of time. Okay, so switching gears, but kind of staying on that same topic. Going back to what our essential question was this unit. How do we react to changes in nature? So you guys have told me about erosions, floods, tornadoes, volcanoes. How do people react to those things? How do people react to the changes in earth? When tornadoes happen, when volcanoes happen, when floods happen, how do we have to react? Katie? So we could be scared, but so what do we do though? What do we do when we're terrified? What do we do to take precautions against these things? Dorshan? Going in a shelter. So you see you got your book open. Going in a shelter to hide. Yep, in those underground basements, so shelters, basements to protect ourselves from tornadoes. What else do we do to react to nature? Tequila. So go to different towns, evacuate. We were reading Surf Haven debates its future, and they were saying that people wanted to leave the town because storms will keep happening, so people evacuate. What's something else that people do to react to things that happen in nature? Brielle.
Like we got a big school, so when there's a tornado, we go in the hallway.
We can go in the hallway. So we have so many different ways to do things. What are some positive things that we do to react to nature? So things like erosion. What do people do? What do people do when they see erosion? We talked about some things when we discussed the Grand Canyon. What are some things that people do? Tequila. They go out and see it. So sometimes the way that earth changes is pretty to people, right? And people do things in that area. They go visit, they go take pictures. What were some other things we talked about that people do at the Grand Canyon? Saleha. They take videos. What else? Trevin. They bring their horses, they go horseback riding, they make tents, and all different other kinds of things. So we react to nature in as many different ways as nature changes. All great ideas. Open your books now to page 39. And we'll do our build, reflect, and write up on the board together. So our directions say, think about the lives of people of Surf Haven. Remember, that's the small town that got destroyed by the what?
Tornado.
Was it a tornado?
A hurricane.
A hurricane. Good job. So it says, what effects do weather and climate changes have on people's lives? List your ideas in the spaces provided. So this is actually what we were just talking about, but now they're just asking us to write it down. So effects of weather and climate changes on people's lives. So let's think about the hurricane on about Surf Haven, since he told us to think about that text. What are some ways that hurricane affected the lives of the people who lived in Surf Haven? What are some things that they had to do? What are some things that the hurricane did? Emmanuel.
It destroyed the
So it destroyed jobs. We'll say jobs slash businesses. Yeah, you can move up. So it destroyed jobs and businesses. What else did that hurricane do in Surf Haven that caused issues for people? It destroyed where they lived. So it destroyed homes. It destroyed cars.
It destroys the boardwalk.
So it destroys homes, cars. I heard Trevor say the boardwalk. And what did the destroying of jobs, businesses, homes, cars, the boardwalk have on the people? What did they start to do after that happened? Zakila.
They start to agree with other.
Were they all agreeing?
No.
So they were having a what?
A meeting.
A meeting, a conversation. They were having disagreement. So disagreements among the people who lived in Surf Haven. And what was their disagreement? Bria.
That if they should rebuild or if they should build a nature reserve.
Good. So disagreements among the people who lived in Surf Haven on whether to rebuild the boardwalk or to make a nature preserve. Remember, a nature preserve is just a place where there is just wildlife and animals and plants that people can come and look at, just nature. And why did they think building a nature preserve would be better than rebuilding the boardwalk? What was the point of them rebuilding the boardwalk and not the nature preserve? Mackenzie.